waiting for a hit, but that's going to happen. There's nothing to that. It's just something that does happen. And again, it felt like almost every inning we had a guy or two out there just getting on early, and we just weren't able to push them across.
All right, in the spirit of breaking a Twins baseball game down like it's football, and just a public service announcement here, now that we are in the teeth of sports season after 6 months of pandemic, we're very grateful for this, but if there's new listeners or listeners that are coming back to the Mackey and Judd show, couple different notes. Number one, we break these Twins games down with obsessive detail like they are football games. So strap in whenever the Twins season comes to an end, whether it's in 3 weeks from now or in a month and a half from now, we'll be breaking down all of these games like they are football games. And we have deep dive Vikings conversations too on a daily basis on the Purple Daily Podcast, Apple, Spotify, and scorenorth.com. And also the Purple Daily Podcast YouTube channel, youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast. For other Mackey and Judd YouTube content, you can get us on youtube.com/ScoreNorthMN. So Rocco basically says 15 runners left on base last night. They literally had like leadoff doubles every other inning of that game last night. And so mathematically, it's pretty tough to leave more than 15 guys on base. I'm sure there's examples historically, but Nelson Cruz left most of those runners on base. Bases loaded all the time for him.
Yep.
And Rocco kind of chalked it up as, sometimes that happens in baseball.
Yep.
What is your reaction, Judd Zulgad? Is it just sometimes that happens, let's flush it, or let's drill down a little bit more?
Oh, considering the series that they were coming off against Cleveland, I'm sorry, I can't. Well, I've got a panic button to hit, but it's not about that. I've got him at 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position. I thought you were going to hit it again. It was ugly. It was Dylan Cease, who I actually sort of like, did everything that he could to gift that game to the Twins consistently.
But the Twins ceased to score runs.
But that's very good. So let's see here. We went to your point about guys getting on base. Kepler singled to open the game. Lamont Wade Jr. doubled to open the second. Adrianza doubled to open the third. Jorge Polanco walked to open the fourth. This is incredible. Adrianza then walked to open the fifth. Jake Cave doubled to open the sixth. They did not fail to get their first guy on base until the seventh inning when Polanco bounced out or grounded back to the pitcher. So anyway, if this was a reoccurring theme, yeah, I'd be concerned. But one, it's not. They just scored a bunch of runs. In fact, they hit 11 home runs in 3 games against Cleveland. Number two, they had Gonzalez, who was awful, but then picked up. Marwin was sick. Sano has a neck. Go ahead and hit the panic alarm on that, by the way, because that neck has bothered him for a while. That's not a good thing. Again, I have not covered many big guys, especially who have had neck problems where it's been, no big deal.
He's always got something.
And
There's always something.
And Rosario now was out after stupidly putting his arm into Buxton's chest trying to catch a ball late on Sunday. So anyway, as far as the offensive inefficiency goes last night, and there's lots of things that we could talk about, tentacles off that game, that one doesn't have me concerned.
It's annoying. It was definitely, sure. I don't know if I would call it it's a bad loss in that you should have scored like 8 runs in that game, but it's hard to get worked up for me because these games don't even really matter. You've clinched you haven't mathematically clinched a playoff spot, but you've basically clinched a playoff spot. You're not going to go on you're not going to lose like 10 games in a row at this point. Your starting pitching has been too good. Barrios wasn't great last night to start, but he settled down and he gave you, I think, against one of the best lineups in baseball. If you look at the slugging percentage leaders in baseball this season, of the top 7, the White Sox have 3.
Yeah.
Nelson Cruz is number 1. The White Sox have 3.
Their softball team is great.
So if you can go 5 or 6 innings against that lineup and only give it 1 run, you're doing all right. So there's not a whole lot to rip with Jose Barrios from last night. But so on one hand, breaking baseball down like it's football, that's a terrible loss when you put that many guys on base and you've got your lineup has a lot of backups, and Lamont Wade Jr., I love watching that guy work counts. He's actually a joy to watch at the plate. He's got a great eye.
Smart.
I think he's a 4th outfielder long term, but when you put that many guys on base for your big gun hitters, it's a disappointing, if not just like eye-gougingly annoying loss. But it's hard to get too worked up in that if you finish the number 1 seed or the number 8 seed, you're all going to be in a bubble in San Diego anyways. After yesterday's news, it doesn't matter.
I believe that, and I think it was approved according to Ken Rosenthal this morning. It's been approved that the Players Association approved the bubble format last night, but I believe the first round is going to be in the home ballparks. And so if I'm the Twins, and I don't know why, man, because there's not fans there, but if you look at what the Twins have done at home compared to the road, I want those first potentially 3 games at home. But that being said, you're right. You're going to the playoffs. And look, if that performance at the plate last night had been a consistently troublesome thing for 2 weeks, I'd be like, well, this is not a good time. But it was one game. It was sort of weird. I'll say this, because, Phil, you are right. The game itself didn't have consequence in the sense that these teams are going to the playoffs. It was a fun game, though, as far as, especially with no fans, intensity went. Like, you could feel that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I like that our guys are approaching these games with that type of intensity. I think that's a good thing. We're playing a good team late in the season and a team that's ahead of us in the standings. So I think that all makes a lot of sense. And, this is a very unusual year where it feels like for most of the year, everyone's just getting their footing and trying to figure out how things are going. But we're further along in the year right now. And, we should be, trying to do everything we can to get locked in every way.
Football.
So on that front, what were your thoughts on the White Sox going into the season? And, well, I think, let me just speed past that. We all thought they were going to be good, but not as good as the Twins. Like, we all agreed on that.
Yes.
Now that you've seen almost 2 months of the White Sox, do you think they've arrived, or do you think that they are just really hot over a 2-month stretch? Do you think they've arrived as one of the best teams in baseball?
I think they're on their way there. I think they have issues at the plate. They can be monsters, and it's fun to watch, all right? Pitching-wise, I'm not completely sold on all of their pitching. Not a surprise, but here's the place where to me, they remind me a lot in some ways of the 2019 Twins. And I realize that the advanced statistics will contradict me, but I don't care. The eye test tells me differently. Defensively, this team has a ways to go. And this strikes me as the type of team that especially in that first round, could make a couple of just awful decisions and plays in the field that cost them. And I believe that the defensive metrics speak to the White Sox being an upper echelon team. Dude, I've watched them play the Twins too much. They're not. They're not. They're not. They've got some players who make really nice plays. They also have some players who are grossly irresponsible in the field. So do I think the White Sox are a complete team? Absolutely not. Offensively, I think they are a lot of fun. And I do believe that this team in the next 4-5 years is going to go neck and neck consistently in a normal season with the Twins, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
So I actually think the way that you can divvy up their record this season kind of tells the story, and that they are 18-2 against Detroit and Kansas City, which, bravo, that's exactly what you should do against Detroit and Kansas City. The Twins have played basically 500 baseball against Detroit and Kansas City. So the White Sox are beating up on teams that you should beat up on. They should not have to apologize for that. They are under 500. They are 13-14 against the rest of Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. And again, that's not even something to really have to apologize for either. So you go beat up on the terrible teams and play about 500 baseball against the best teams. Honestly, the Twins have been building their division championships off of a pretty similar formula for the last 20 years.
Last year for sure.
So that's one way to do it.
Yep.
I think Lucas Giolito over the course of a full season is better than any pitcher the Twins have. And I think Dylan Cease, even though he was really rough last night, I think that guy is going to be a stud, probably number 2 starting pitcher. So long term, I really like what the White Sox have with their starting rotation. I would probably trade the Twins rotation for the next 5 years for the White Sox rotation. And Alex Colomé has turned into one of the best closers in baseball, but there's a gap in the middle between the 4th and the 7th innings where you get, second, third time through the order against some of their starters, and you get the relievers that aren't named Alex Colomé, and you should be able to do damage against this team. And so that's why I don't fear them quite as much, but they can also hang an 8 spot on any starting pitcher in baseball and make life difficult, even when you have a lineup as good as the Twins. Let's keep flying through here.
Football.
Your thoughts on Taylor Rogers?
Sound it.
Sound it.
So he on the season, his last 14 outings, he was pretty good for his first 3 outings. He's a clean sheet for the first 3 outings. His last 14 outings, he's allowed runs in 6 of them. So about half the outings he allows runs. 12 and 2/3 innings over that stretch. 22 hits allowed and 25 base runners put on. So he's allowing on average the last month or so. He's allowing on average 2 base runners per inning.
Oh, my concern is huge because I think you need him, and Rocco certainly relies upon him. And now my fear is that I see this team getting to the playoffs, and at least at the start of the playoffs. And again, let's go back to the fact the first round, you can be done like that. If they're relying on him, he doesn't seem to have it. And I don't know if this is a combination of things. Like, has the league figured him out to a certain degree? His stuff doesn't seem to be the same. And furthermore, if this can factor into the equation, his mojo seems to be completely gone. Like, he looks flustered, he looks befuddled, he looks
See, I feel like he just always looks the same for the last 3 years.
There
could be a fire in the clubhouse and he'd just be standing there.
I felt like last year in his own stoic way, there was a defiance about knowing that he was really good.
He blinks a little bit more often when he's feeling good about himself.
And I feel like now in watching him, there is a definite loss of confidence. But that's number 3, because 1 and 2 are, it really appears that the league has gone a long way toward figuring him out, which is very important. And number 2, it just doesn't look the same. The stuff does not look the same. So yes, if there is one thing, if we were to do a pie chart of concern going into the playoffs right now, just stop things right now, I think my number 1, Taylor Rogers.
Okay, I wasn't going to bring this up today, but
do it.
I'm going to bring this up.
Okay.
All right. So he's been super hittable. Everything you just said. I don't know if I agree with the body language, because I just think he's a cyborg who never shows body language. But I don't think you can trust him going forward, knowing what you know about the last month or so. I just don't think you can trust him going into some key playoff games here, like 3-game series, Yankees, whoever you face. I just don't want the game on the line with this version of Taylor Rogers. Okay. Now, I would trust him situationally. Now, you have to face 3 batters or come in toward the end of an inning. I would trust him against left-handed hitters, and you don't really have a lot of left-handed relievers in your bullpen. You basically have Caleb Thielbar, who's been surprisingly great for the Twins.
Right.
And that's kind of it. Like, you don't have another go-to lefty that you trust. So what if you had Taylor Rogers and Caleb Thielbar? You could leverage, like, if there's 2 out of 3 hitters that are lefties in the lineup, you could bring those guys in, leverage their strength right now, and you find a new closer. And I'm not talking about Tyler Duffy, because I want Tyler Duffy as my firefighter. He hasn't been quite as great. I want Tyler Duffy in the tie game, in the 1-run game, in the 7th inning as necessary. All right.
Yep.
What if Jorge Alcala was your 9th inning guy?
What you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John Brown come for you?
Hot Take Cops is recorded on location with the men and women of sports talk. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in Hot Take Court.
Yeah. Bad boys, bad boys.
Didn't
License registration, please.
wait, didn't I
Just think about it.
Didn't I tell you 3 weeks to a month ago that I was on the Alcala train? That the
Well, you were a
That I
passenger.
was-
You were a passenger. I'm now driving it.
no,
just so
I
we're
know,
clear.
but you told me,
Too.
me that he doesn't know where his stuff is going. That
He
you thought
doesn't.
he'd be good eventually.
Neither does
that he
Taylor
was-
Rogers.
No, I know that. No. I'm not trying to apprehend you. I'm saying that
Okay,
I told you a month ago, I think this stuff plays.
I was getting all defensive there.
No, I think this stuff absolutely plays. Here's my question about Rocco, Falvey, and company in the first round. And it's an honest question. And I know what the answer has to be, but I don't know what the answer is from them. Do you have the ability to hurt feelings badly of people you like?
You have to be willing to.
I agree with you completely, but I'm not debating what I just said with you. I'm saying it's my question. Taylor Rogers, Phil, I think you're 1,000% right. And it could be Alcala. I don't know. It could be Duffy in their mind? I don't know. But they've got to be willing to hurt his feelings.
Who do you trust more right now? Heart of the White Sox lineup. All right. So you got to face, let's just say, I'm trying to think of the order. Yeah, you got to face Luis Robert, and you got to face Yoan Moncada, Tim Anderson,
Abreu, Jimenez, and Encarnacion.
Or let's say, let's put Tim Anderson.
Robert bats 7th, by the way.
What's Tim Anderson, the number 2 hitter?
No,
he's their leadoff.
Hitter
leads off
and leads the league in batting average right now.
So let's say it's
like
any combination of like their first 5 hitters, and you just like whichever 3 are coming up. Who do you trust right now? In a tie game, or Twins are leading by 1 run, it's the 9th inning, and you're facing the 3 hottest hitters in that lineup, and you can turn to Taylor Rogers, or you can turn to Jorge Alcala right now. And I'm not talking about career track record. I'm not talking about Taylor Rogers a year ago. Right now, let's give them both tomorrow.
It's not going to be close.
It's Alcala.
It's not even close. Like if I was to rank the bullpen right now, Rogers not in my top 3.
And so is he going to get right in the next 2 weeks to where you'd feel great again? That can happen. Like he could find a groove. And if it's funny, if you look at his peripherals, like his strikeouts to walks are fine, and his velocity's not terrible.
I know.
He's just like, you could make the case analytically that he has fallen victim to batted ball, bad luck. But the eye test to me would show that guys are squaring him up. Like guys are hitting sharp balls down the line. But what about that one that inning a week and a half ago? Yeah, well, one of those balls was like a towering fly ball that landed on the warning track and left. Well, it was a pop-up that almost went out for a home run.
Yeah, no,
so sometimes the batted ball luck thing can be, some of us baseball nerds can be like, well, it's, there's going to be an adjustment of batted ball luck, or he's just getting pounded.
It helps to watch games.
His breaking ball is not as sharp as it was from my eye test last year.
The Alcala thing, I sort of have to admit I love. Because the kid stuff plays, man.
So not to mention, like now the Rogers feelings thing would be a thing. Like you'd have to.
I know, and they don't like to do that.
But then stop giving up runs every other time you come out.
Right.
It's not that hard of a formula.
Explain this on his outing last night. The 0-2 pitch to Anderson with nobody out that ended up being a double to left. That was a terrible pitch.
Yeah, he's thrown a bunch of those this year.
But I mean, that's to a guy who, as Dex just said, leads the league in hitting and is damn good, and that, and that's the pitch you're going to give him.
I mean, I'm not saying that Jorge Alcala is like the solution to all the Twins' back end of the bullpen problems here, but right now, the guy that has a better chance to just come in and get a bunch of swings and misses is Jorge Alcala. And he might just be young enough and naive enough to not get swallowed up by the moment. It feels like he goes out there with blinders on and just throws the ball.
Oh, I think he does.
Yes. To name a bunch of baseball cliches in one sentence.
Yes, he does. He doesn't. I think he comes in from the bullpen, looks up to the sky, talks to God briefly, and then just throws the baseball.
And now it's worth noting, most of his outings this season have come in like low pressure. Twins are down by 3 in the 6th inning, and he comes in, and so he hasn't had a lot of the game tied. Twins are up by 1, got to throw strikes. That would be a different scenario. But since these games don't really matter that much over the next 2 weeks, I would look for opportunities to put him in some high pressure situations just to see how he reacts.
Unlike last night was.
Yep, just see what happens. Leading,
absolutely,
and see if he throws strikes, and if he does, now maybe you trust him a little bit more in that first round series against the Yankees. Just saying,
maybe you should have traded for Josh Hader.
No. That price tag was way too high.
Also,
no way.
I'm not concerned about him, but like Tyler Duffy hasn't been lights out the last 6 games either. His last 6 appearances, opponents have a 827 OPS against him. He has a 4.5 ERA. He's issued 6 walks. Like
the walks are kind of a problem.
They're kind of concerning, and these 2 dudes are the most, I would think, or when I thought going into the season, the most indispensable guys out of your bullpen, and they've essentially, one's been pretty much unplayable, and the other one's been suspect. So you need these 2 dudes to hopefully figure it out soon, because they are the most important pieces in your bullpen.
I will say this about Alcala too, okay? Just one last thing on him. Think about how many teams throughout the last 10 or 15 years in baseball, and like the Royals have had this, and I know that the Michael Wacha was sort of this for the Cardinals like 10 years ago, but how many times a young guy comes up? I mean, K-Rod like 15 years ago came out of nowhere in the 2003 playoffs, right? All of a sudden the Angels had like the best reliever in baseball randomly join them in September. Sometimes you have to give a 21 or a 22, 23-year-old kid a shot late in the season to show that he can perform in these situations. And Alcala, the Twins acquired him. I believe they acquired him in the Ryan Presley trade. And they acquired him to eventually pitch in games and situations that matter, just like this. So why not now? I'm just throwing it out there.
All right.
Just throw it out.
On the Duffy front too, playoff wise, I need him to calm down a little bit. I need the drama to sort of stop. I threw a bad pitch and now I'm going to scream at myself on that. Doesn't play when the pressure is high. There's nothing good about that. Like, he gets frazzled. He loves drama. He's a drama king. Like, dude, you're really good. It's going to be fine. He made his work last night, the inning that he pitched. I felt he made it so much more difficult than it had to be. Yeah, there were some blips, but he's melting down. At one point, he slips. I get it. But you know what? If the mound sucks, dude, call the grounds crew out and get him out there to fix the mound. It's just like, take a deep breath and calm down, because it doesn't help you to melt down at yourself as much as you do. And I don't want to see that in the playoffs.
Yeah, before we get to our friend Jay Williams here, one more thing for you guys. All right, it turned out to not really matter at all in the outcome of the game because the Twins needed another run. They should have had 2 runs last night. So Byron Buxton hits that ball to left field.
Eloy
Jimenez, the ball kind of tips off his glove, and so the ball then rolls to the base of the fence and stops because it hits the fence.
Yes.
And Eloy doesn't even try to pick it up at first. He just throws his hands in the air. Oh, the ball's lodged. The ball's lodged. And Byron Buxton wisely says, all right, well, I'll just keep circling the bases, get my inside the park home run, and now we're down by 1. And then Eloy sort of panics. He's like, well, okay. And then he goes and picks it up easily because it's literally sitting on the warning track, throws it in. And I thought if he were to stand out there with his hands up and an umpire comes out, that's his only shot at the rule, like, applying, right? That it's lodged into the fence.
Sure.
When he goes and picks up the ball,
yeah, that's it.
Why is it even a discussion after that? How are they able to review that? And then how is that overturned in that situation? Well, please help me.
And why are the replay people in New York making the decision on a play that the umpires are watching live?
He picked up the ball,
and the ball wasn't the ball was not lodged. That was a Rosario-esque egregious mistake. And good for Buxton. And they never killed the play, too. That's the thing is, once you don't kill the play, why are you going to replay to kill the play?
It's so weird.
It was very bizarre.
So someone sent this. I don't know if this is exact verbiage from the rule book, but lodged baseball section in the rule book per rule 5.05A7. A ball is considered lodged if, in the judgment of the umpire, the natural trajectory of the flight of the ball is interrupted long enough to affect further play. A batted ball that sticks in the fence, scoreboard, shrubbery at Wrigley, or vines located on the playing field should be considered a lodged ball. Likewise, a ball that goes behind a field tarp or wall padding without leaving the playing field should also be considered lodged. A lodged ball occurs anytime the momentum of the rolling ball is stopped abruptly or sticks or is stuck under the fence padding. So that's the part of this rule we're talking about.
Yes.
If you go look, like, he literally just went and picked up the ball. It was just sitting on the warning track.
Yeah.
Now there's a second part of this that says how easily a ball might be retrieved by the fielder should not factor in, which is ludicrous. You're telling me if a ball is just sitting on the warning track, it doesn't matter how easy, like, he should be forced to make an attempt to grab the ball first. And then if he can't grab the ball,
well,
then maybe we can discuss it being a ground rule double.
And it's
so stupid.
It's the umpire's discretion. If Eloy Jimenez looks at that ball and says, kill the play, and the umpire says, okay, I'll kill the play, that's one thing. They didn't do that. But here's the rule. Just rewrite the rule. If you can see it, you play it. Like, ball goes into Ivy at Wrigley. I can't find the baseball. Ground rule double. But since when is, ball basically hits base of fence and partially is lodged, but I can easily see that ball and pick that ball up. Why does that need to be a ground rule double?
Yeah, it was mind numbing. And, like, by that point in the game, you've already watched the Twins whiff on, I think Buxton was the 15th runner stranded because he stood there on second
base. And we did
get
Angel
Hernandez was in full effect. How many times did you see a ball that was very clearly outside the zone, and Angel just he's unwilling to adapt to the electronic strike zone parameters that they are judged on. And bravo, Justin Morneau with a great job a couple times pointing out in these big at bats, like Nelson Cruz had one where he takes a pitch inside. It's very clearly inside. Nelson Cruz has been around long enough. He winces at the call. The next pitch is outside. It should have been 2-0 with the bases loaded. Instead, it's 1-1. That matters. And Justin Morneau was on his A game. People say that he talks too much. I think he's great. Do you guys think he talks too much?
He's fine. He's absolutely fine. And again,
I'd rather him
he
talk
tells you things you don't know, which I care about. But Angel both ways last night, man, you cannot, how you keep your job if you're that guy and are allowed to call balls and strikes to this day, I have no clue.
It's amazing. Yeah, like